So I mean, if anybody has any questions, I can, let me see, I wrote little paper so I wouldn't mess this up.
Well, how long does it take?
It doesn't take long. You know, I numb it, it takes about 30 minutes to numb, and then from there, I measure everything after the numbing, and then I start, it's maybe about an hour and 15 minutes.
Does somebody have to take you, or can you just drive it from home?
Yeah, you can drive yourself. It's really, I mean, it doesn't put you down, it really doesn't prevent anything. Any daily activities, anything you possibly would be doing. And I know from a lot of the stuff that I hear, it's kind of backwards, the information for aftercare that I give to people, because I was always trained to let it breathe and not to cover it. And I mean, in some cases, if you're in wear raw, you need to cover it, but that's just for that moment. And so you put something that'll still allow it to breathe in there as best as possible, because there's actual ointments that are moisturizing and still breathable, and then there's some that aren't. Like A&D and bacitracin, they don't let the skin breathe, they just cover it. Put a barrier in between outside and inside world. So those kinds of things are the little small things, but tattoo, for the tattoo side, the technology is way more advanced than makeup side. I guess it's just because there's so much more money in people doing that type of stuff that the money's just shot in there. So when I get like just pictures of my needles, they send you a little card that has a microscope needle in here, and you're like, what is that? But that's how they do it. Their technology's better. So I utilize anything new that comes out and test it on myself. I have all these tests all over my legs. It don't matter now. I did all this when my mom's a teacher, and I did this before I was even 17. It really doesn't. You do, but the topical anesthetic is it's very potent, and it works. I mean, if I get somebody that feels it, they say it's a 1. I use a secondary anesthetic that absorbs through the broken skin once it's been passed over, and that one just sits about 2 minutes, and then it's 0. And it's always consistently the same, and so that's why I can say that. And it's been, I think I've only, because I was a tattoo artist first. I've been doing cosmetic tattooing for only 5 years. In 5 years, I invented the measuring system, facial measuring system. Like I can't even show, I wish I could show the plastic surgeons, but I haven't patented it yet, so I don't want to show nobody's rich. Let me see that? No, take a picture. No. But the system works, it's awesome.
So I work in the billing department here, and my biggest concern for my patients is the cost of what it's going to cost. Because I know what it costs here for whatever insurance you have, but what is it going to cost for like an OCD?
So, okay, the way I approach makeup is less is more. You can always add to the color, and it's very hard to lighten. You can, but it adds more to the equation. It makes it a little bit more difficult. So it's a lot better to approach it like less. So what I do is I do this, anything added after the first session is at cost. So the first session we would do a single is $350, 2 is $700. But if you ever have to do it, a single is $75, and then the whole is $150. If you ever have to, and that it varies. Some people do, some people don't. Because I would always rather be a shade too light than a shade too dark, because there's just no, because you make people mad.
So
you hurt your feelings.
So if you've had a patient who's had their micropigmentations in here, and they're not 100% completely satisfied with it for whatever reason, and they came to you, are you able to do those corrections?
Yes, I did one last night.
Look at your hair. It's beautiful.
She was really sweet. She's from Kennedy. She very, you know what? Another one. I had 2 sisters come together. I was like, what's going on in here? I had 2 sisters come together. The sister, took her top off to get prepared for what we're about to do. And the other sister takes her top off. She's like, we're sisters. I was like, okay. That's see right here. Those are the 2 best stories I got. Yes, ma'am. It's $350 for 1 and $7 for 2. I know that you can try and submit to your insurance. I've already had one paper submitted just through PRMA because I've only been with them like 6 months. So in the 6 months, they've got to see the couple of people that I've been able to do. And I tell them, come by, show them the video after, so they can use them for people like y'all that would like to see, what the possibilities are, because it's scary. You want to know?
Do you have any pictures?
It's in the brochure. A lot of people that I take the pictures of, I only show them to y'all.
And we have brochures we can hand out tonight to you guys too.
And those brochures were made in one day because the printing people printed them wrong. So I'm just gonna, they look so bad compared to the ones I have in my salon. They're like perfect. But we printed them in one day and we're like, we'll use these till the wheels fall off and then we'll put the other one. They just put a border around the edge, makes it look, I don't know, I'm real picky. So it just doesn't look as good. But they're real cool. When you look at the actual photos, very impressive.
So how many have you done?
300, but I learn off one. I do one, I make an idea change. I make 2 idea change. I'm constantly thinking. I think it's ADD or something. I can't stop thinking. I'll be laying at night thinking about a new way to do something, and then I'll go try it, and it works or it doesn't. And I always try it on myself, so my legs are kind of funky.
So you got nipples all over your legs.
Inches of nipples drawn. That's funny too. That's how you started. I was like, okay, we need the natural colors, what works, and then so even when I mix colors, I put them on your skin to see what they look like, to see how they look. And then the harder ones are to match. If somebody has a natural one, and then you're matching to that natural one, those are the harder ones to do. But all you do is the less is more technique. You do it right, do it soft, use the right colors. And then if they have to go a slightly shade darker, not a problem. And that keeps people happy. You don't have to worry about like, what's this? I got one black, one blue.
And so how long do they last before you require a touch-up?
It really depends on the scar tissue.
You're going to say wear and tear.
That too. I didn't think of that. That's a good one. And I'm a boy. I should have known. Right? It really, okay, this, like, skin is in layers and scars are not. They're just, they heal however, whatever they can get a hold of, they're grabbing, and they heal funky like that, and that's just the nature of scarring. So it really depends on how the scar wants to accept the pigment. So sometimes some certain scar spots might reject a little, but just give them a little bit of love on the second one and then go from there. That's how I've really not had a scar like deter me and stop me. Yes, ma'am.
How long does the procedure take?
It's only total to do a single, it's almost an hour. To do both, it's like an hour and 15 minutes. It's pretty fast. And the reason it's fast is this technique I use, and it doesn't compromise quality. It never does. It's just fast because I've been doing it forever. So I was like 13, I got in trouble at school doing this stuff. And then I apprenticed at 17, and so I've been doing it forever.
You're such an old man.
I went to like college 4 times over to tattoo. I was like, gosh, but I never thought I'd cosmetically tattoo. I thought for sure I'd just stay doing what I was doing because I was happy and I was succeeding already. But Ashley knew. She's like, that's the ticket. People don't do it. It's a small like percentage of tattoo artists that even do it. There was one here. I don't even know any other ones. There's only one other guy I've heard of, and he's really good, but I heard he's hard to find. And so he's the only other one. All the other ones are typically cosmetic people like Laura, and I don't know if you've looked them up. There's a couple people that do it, but they utilize a little bit different techniques and knowledge than I would use. And that's not a problem. Like the lady I had yesterday, I did her, she had all her makeup done by one of my friends, Laura Frisk, and that's fine. If you like it, go for it. It's just different. It's a little bit different. I try to be as natural as possible. Like when you look at someone, you can't tell on their face. So imagine over here, you won't see it. It just hides. It's just natural looking. And it's the pigments. I use high quality pigments. So the best, like, I'll give you an example. The best 2 brands of actual body art ink for a 2-ounce bottle is like $10. For cosmetic ink, a ½ ounce, so it's a quarter the amount, is like $50. The prices are through the roof for the good stuff, and that's just the way it is. And in any industry, you get what you pay for. So even when it comes down to like the needles that I use to implant the pigment, which has a direct result of how natural and smooth it looks, all those are only 3 brands. Don't touch with any other brands, just because in the tattoo industry, you know, when you're trying to do somebody's whole arm and you're like, this doesn't work. Well, you don't want to sit there all day trying to make something not work that just doesn't work. So all the artists all help each other to get to the right brands, and then once you utilize them, you're like, oh, this is easy. So knowing all that before I ever started this was my biggest advantage, and now I've transferred all that into this, which makes the tattooing time fast. And that's with 30 minutes of numbing in there, taking only an hour, so I can do both of them in 30 minutes. 45, 30 to 45, and I can do a single in 30, 20 to 30.
So if you do any kind of art other than just what's
Mhm.
necessary, that's an increase in price?
It's just a lot of times it could be possibly cheaper. Yeah, art's different. It's only, I charge by the hour for body art tattoos, and it really depends on how detailed you get. Because something you could pick something that would only take an hour, which would only cost $100, and then you get something that's same size and it could take 5 hours.
I know we had.
have
Oh,
small
sorry.
ones, like the size of a quarter, and they have all kinds of stuff you wouldn't imagine. The lady that has it, I just saw her. What I did her eyes, and everybody thinks it's a sticker. It doesn't even look real, and it's just because when I started to do the cosmetic tattooing, I realized, oh, these little needles, you can really get a lot of work done in a small area. You just have to go really slow. It takes a lot longer, or else you'll overdo it, and then stuff comes out.
So you also do face? I mean, you do
Everything.
eyebrows and...
Heads. I just did a guy's whole head. Literally the whole, yes ma'am.
I don't want to make you reveal any of your secrets.
It's okay, I'll tell
But,
you.
I'm a little in the dark as to how you figure out what the appropriate size is. I mean, because I
It's
have one
preference.
that's a real nipple, and then I have just like a cat's eye, a piece of flesh from my tummy on the other
Mhm.
one. And so I'm wondering, this one changes, so I'm like, well, which one how am I gonna get it to match? You know, because it's changes in size. And so,
Depending on-
how, like, do we do like an average, and how do we ascertain that average?
Yeah, you just, yeah, like,
But
Do you have
is it-
samples, or do you, I mean, do you
How do you
say?
figure it out?
You know,
Basically, I
do
think what
everything
she's
off
asking, are you
measurements.
measuring off of the contracture of the nipple or from overlaps?
see, that would be something where you would have to really preferentially tell me what you want, because when when it gets smaller, for whatever reason, you might want to make it closer to that size, or you might want to leave it its natural size. It really depends on your preference. And so that would be something more that we just discuss, and you would have to come to a choice. And you would say, I want it to match this size, or I want it to match that size, or be in between. And a lot of stuff you do tattoo-wise can be illusion. You can use illusion on your side to where if you get the right angle, you can't tell, or, you know, there's tattooing you can.
Well, that's what I was
tricky.
wondering, like, from one angle, does it look aroused and another not? Like, or is that just too much?
If it's
hope or
tattooed,
that-
it'll look always aroused.
Look at me from the left.
Yep, it always looks aroused.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
It always looks aroused.
It does, when you hit the 3D.
Mhm. They always look that way.
and that's what a lot of people have preference for?
Mhm.
Okay, so to continue with what she was saying then, for her particular case,
Mhm.
you can do something to the other nipple to make that nipple look cold all the time.
We-
So then it would be kind of more
You
even.
could, I think she was more referring to size, right? The actual size of it.
And all of it, yes, all the
Okay.
aesthetic.
Well, you could. All it is shadowing. So you cast a shadow underneath the other one, even if it's not elevated, it'll appear elevated because the elevation casts the shadow, but if you have the shadow, it'll quickly go. You just put a little darker shade, matching off your shade, darkening your hair, and boom.
But what if your patch is not like the normal skin shade anyway, because it's yellow, because it's from your belly?
You gotta take it into consideration because the ink implants based on the skin it's going in. So if it has a white background, just like if you're on a piece of paper with a pen and you have a yellow pen and you write on a gray paper and you write on a white paper, it looks different. So you have to adjust the colors. And makeup is where I learned all that. Exact colors that fit with each other. Because
So
of-
do you do like a mock-up first, so you can kind of get to see it?
You can.
Before it gets permanent?
That's a good point. So you can do that. You can come in and get like a test spot done, let that heal, come back, and if that color's perfect for you, that's a safer way. It causes more trips, but I think that's really good. I try to do it if I ever have any doubt. Let's do a little test run, let you go home and heal. If the color looks good, we're running off of that. Because if it is a yellowish color, that would adjust. That would be, it does make the variables a little bit more difficult to reach the achieved design. It's both of y'all keep going.
I'm sorry if someone's already asked this, but
It's
I've already
okay.
had the tattooing done,
Mhm.
it's starting to fade.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not real crazy about the size, I want it smaller than what they are. Will that look funny if I have it redone?
It
And maybe a
depends.
different
Really,
shade?
it depends. It could and it could. So it depends on how much ink is still left in that area. And then what happens is, when we go in and plant new ink, it's like a bucket of paint. There's already paint in the bucket. So we're gonna go and add a new color, and it's just gonna alter the two colors to a new color. It doesn't completely block out what's already in there. If you kept doing that, eventually you could, but then that would leave like a line of demarcation. It would leave that spot looking brighter. So you could, but only to a certain amount. And
So you can't put on a primer.
You're so funny. Yes, ma'am.
So you said ideally, how long will that take?
It's fairly fast. The reason it is fast with me is because I'm fast at it. And it's pretty simple. Everything I've always done, everybody's kind of angry because I ask all these questions, because if I run into a problem and I don't know how this works in the first place, I'll never know how to adjust it, so I ask all the water questions to figure out what it is I'm doing. So, I get on that whole spiel, I forgot what you said. What was it?
How long
It's fast. Because of the low trauma, it doesn't take me very long to implant the pigment. It doesn't take very long to heal.
So is it less time than a regular tattoo to heal?
It depends on who did it, you know, but if your tattoo artist is real heavy-handed and puts a lot of, if it's solid, certain types of color too, cause more trauma to the skin. And the more trauma, it's pretty much the rule is the more trauma, you see blood, the more blood, the longer it's gonna take to heal. So anytime I work, I never even see blood. It's just the ink's going in, there's very, very little. Typically the ink I'm working with is overpowering the color of the blood. So anytime I see that, you can expect an extremely fast heal time, like down to like 3 days, 2 days, and to where it'll even peel like a slight sunburn, suntan. That's typically my heal. And I didn't know that I was any different. It took clients telling me, hey, how is this heal so fast? Like even when I look people's eyes, they'd walk out and be like, I'm not even swollen, and it's just that I'm efficient. And the efficiency equals a fast heal time. So like 5 days at the most.
Okay, so, but you said you put on a topical to numb it.
Mm-hmm.
And when that wears off, is there kind of?
It would feel like a slight spray. It can be a little irritating. They actually, you can get, if it really is, people have real low pain thresholds, you can get stuff that has like lidocaine in it. Even something small like Bactine at the store. Bactine has 2.5% lidocaine in it. So it'll kill the germs and numb it if you
There's no problem or concern if you have no feeling, is there? Like that you wouldn't be able to
No.
tell me if this hurts, I'll be like, I don't know.
That's even easier. A lot of times that's the case.
Yeah.
I'll numb it anyways though.
How is it covered? You said through insurance, through FEMA, you said?
It depends. It really depends. They've submitted paperwork for me to fill out and send back. That's as far as I've got. Whether it was covered or not, I'm not sure. So the reality is it's possibly out of pocket.
And how much does it usually cost?
It's $350 for a single and $7 for a dual. And if you ever, my approach is less is more.
The two have to be yours.
Yeah.
Not your friend.
If you come with a friend, it's the same thing. You are funny. What do you think?
I'm not employed. I'm just too much of a jokester. I'm not employed.
I know, you're employed. You got it.
I know one of the questions we had online was about the safety of the ink that's used with compromised immune systems. I didn't know if maybe you could just go into that briefly.
Well, the ink I use is already organic pigments. They don't have any of the older inks have like pigments or iron oxide, which actually is the color of the pigments and powders, and then they just mix it with they call it suspending agents. It's propylene glycol is typically what they suspend it with. But mine's organic, so it doesn't have anything. That's why
From what, plants or?
yeah, anything like that. So typically, it doesn't happen, but if somebody's allergic to strawberries, that's where I could have any issues. So always just have to ask, you allergic to strawberries? If we do any type of reds, you can bet they extracted it from there. A lot of times areolas don't. Some of the browns can possess reds, but it's more yellows. And I know it doesn't make sense, but that's how the makeup, if it's a brown color, it's made up of warm tones, which is yellow, oranges. Those are all the undertones that make it up. So if you ever see somebody with funny makeup and it looks yellow, that's why. Light brown.
Does your website have some samples of this type of work?
Not for areolas. The areolas are only on brochures. And
Do
that's
you have
just,
some of those with you?
yes.
Okay, super.
Could you walk us through like the decision tree of questions you ask people? Because I'm really bad at making decisions on the spot. So if you would say to me, how aroused do you want this to be? I'd be like, oh my God, and I would like not be able to think for a week.
I never had that question. You get me.
So after you ask, so what's the first thing you ask about trying to ascertain what people want?
I always ask people the first thing is, what do you do? I don't know why. It has nothing to do with what I'm doing anymore.
How did you relate that?
It doesn't. It's just blah, blah, blah. But I've had, every time I do that, it kind of gets me, because I had a lady that was a physician getting her makeup done. Her husband's an anesthesiologist. And if I wouldn't have asked the question, I would have been sweating the whole time I was doing this. So it kind of gets me sometimes, but I pretty much want to go based off your preferences, because anything that can be done cosmetically, most likely I can do it.
Right, but what do I need to decide my preferences are? You know, like size, do I get to decide color, or are you gonna figure out what's natural? Do I like say that color, that?
Well, if you
do I
have
get to pick,
one,
like, three
if you
colors,
have
mix them,
one, that
like,
makes it
like an
easy on you.
eyeshadow box, or like, how does it work?
It's based on your preference. So if you want to have really dark areolas or really medium, or if, you know, because a lot of people, if both of them are completely gone, and you want what you were used to seeing before, which would be like a pink or any color in those ranges, you would let me know that, and I would make your color system based on that. Most
You
times,
put the veins in too?
if you want some veins in there, I can do it. No problem.
So you
So
do
is it-
consults first,
I-
and then they go, and then they come back to get it done, or?
It's your choice. The client can make a consult, or they can come straight in and just have the procedure done. And as we go and assess things, I haven't run into anybody yet that I'm like, no, we need to set it for another day. Typically, if they come in, I can most likely do it. Except for you. We're gonna have a couple appointments.
Well, is it helpful to have a consultation before you lose? You know, like before my second mastectomy, would that be a good time to come in and say, okay, so here's what I'm used to seeing? And that way you can see, I mean, I'm just thinking.
Can you tell me what a picture of?
I got 29 days, we gotta get together. Serious, 29 days. Countdown has begun. So I mean, that's what I'm thinking, is it good to come
And
to?
you could.
That's a great idea.
I mean, a photograph
I would've
will
never
work
thought of
if you have the
Even
time.
though you have to take before
Hair,
pictures
totally
and then-
come
Y'all
in
do.
and
Yeah, we take before pictures, so I guess you could always just print one of those
Right
off
now,
and
we're
take it.
currently treating one in
I mean, I think.
But we're getting our own
You can see all different shades of colors and go off.
transitioning.
No, it depends on your flexibility. I mean, there's sometimes you can get, like that lady called yesterday, and he went in at like 7 o'clock and did
How do they
she was from out of town,
hold
for a
up
couple
compared
days.
to
They're not like
a
bodies.
standard?
If you're
They're not
flexible on
as
the day,
close
we can get you in
This
usually like
one's like
the same day or the next couple days, because you can just get like 3
Even the texture, so the cosmetic ink is nothing like tattoo. Even in the texture, you can feel it. It feels gritty, it feels thick, it feels extremely different than body art tattooing. So this ink, the way it's designed is designed to be natural in the first place. The hardest thing I get when it comes to cosmetic tattooing is vibrancy. You really can't make stuff vibrant. The most vibrant thing I've ever been able to do is on Blue Mermaid's lips over there. She
Very
has
vibrant.
the most vibrant color I've ever been able to pull out, because it's extremely hard to get vibrant colors in cosmetic ink. That's the hardest part. Natural, that's easy.
How long do they last? I mean, is it, or is
It
it
varies.
vary based on
It
your
does vary on the
skin?
individual, because everybody's skin is different, the way it processes and the way it exfoliates. It's, for makeup, it's more like 10 years, that's what they say, from the ink. And everybody that I've worked on, I really don't get very many touch-ups. I get people and I don't see them anymore, so that's the bad part, but it might be good too.
And you mentioned earlier that you also do like scar blending. So women who have the post-reconstruction scars that they're not happy with, is that something that they could maybe go and look at, like getting it colored in?
Well, Ash, pull up that scar photo. I'll show you a recent one. There's a facelift scar on the back of her ear. This is a good one. And this has a before, immediately after, and a healed picture. All in, and the healed picture was about 10 days out, so the skin still has a slightly tan to it. But this will give you a good idea of scar camouflage. Because you can camouflage scars. And it's not that you'll remove the scar by just painting color over it. What you do is you block the eye's attention to draw to it. Because if it doesn't have the contrast of the bright scar up against lighter, darker skin, the contrast is what attracts people's eyes. And if you can dilute that down, you can make people won't notice. Your husband wouldn't see it. His eyes wouldn't actually draw to that side.
I mean, I'm quite sure that you had a bad tattoo.
You know, it's amazing.
I know, I get to do people's stuff and I get sad because I don't care. The guys that I want to get work on, they charge way more. So I have to just wait until.
And you do other kinds as well as just the areolas, like so on one side someone wanted to get more like a standard kind of tattoo or something to hide the scars.
That was my compromise. When I went into cosmetic tattooing with Ashley, I told her I'm no longer doing regular tattoos. All the tattoos I do body art wise, I pick and choose, and I have a big drawing station and I hand draw. So that's one of the big advantages. Everything's all artists on my side. Even sells little. That's what my mom would say.
So, I'm sorry, what were the other decisions that people made ahead of time?
It's really the preference comes down to is for you, if you're saying you have one natural one and you have to figure out the size. We could go and put both sizes and see which one you preferred. Like that would be more of a hands-on. Even if we just taped it on there, printed one out, cut it out, tape that sucker on there, and you wore it for a day. That's something unique that we could do, and you could do the larger one the next day.
You mean like the Cracker Jacks tattoo?
Well, no, not even that. Literally a piece of paper, we'll print it out and tape it on there underneath. Double stick. And then you can see in the mirror if you actually like it. I have a couple people do that for body art stuff, and they're all sticking them on for a day. Well, I want to stick it on this side now and see how they like it, but for something like that would be a good idea. And I just thought of that just for you.
And so, are there any upsells once you get in there? Like, well, now we're having a special.
No, it's all the same.
It tickles or.
Right. No, it's all the same. It's always the same. Even for anything I do, if I ever do something on someone, after that it's at cost. Always. And that way I don't have to pay out of pocket, and anybody can always come back and get their stuff adjusted to their preferences. Only because I approach less is more. So it's way better to be a shade too light than it is too dark. And that's what I always try to tell everybody. You don't want to be too dark. I even have.
I'm looking at this and it's very impressive, the work you did. And so you charge by the square inch and someone's messaging you by the way.
Well, that was just, it's, scar camouflage is a little bit expensive for that type of stuff because it's so unique in what it took to finally figure all that out. So like something like that, I mean, it's her whole back of her neck on both sides. I mean, I could even tell you, I think that was, she paid the same as what it would cost to do though. She paid $700 to do that. So it can be for cosmetic, it can be a little pricey.
For shipper?
No, that is facelift.
Everyone's like, oh, don't have a face.
It depends on how bad. It really depends. Sometimes you can. And I have some burned skin to show you that can't be tattooed. I got a right hand to show you. This cannot be tattooed. The shiny part, you can't tattoo that. It won't hold. It'll just look blurry and fall out. So it's pointless. It has to be decent enough. If the scar is small enough in the area, that works. But if it's a large saturated area of one big scar, like a burn, that's where it's really difficult. I mean, you could try it, but I would have no guarantees for it. And I'm willing to do anything to work with people. I'll tell you one of the hardest things I did cosmetically. I had a lady with hyperpigmented lips. They were dark. They were really dark. And she was Hispanic and she wanted them pink. It took us 8 months and they're pink. But we had to put yellows and orange in those lips to offset those dark cool tones. So we warmed them up with that first. Once it was more of a neutral tone, then we put the pink in, but it took us 8 months. and she's natural. So anything anybody approaches me with, I'll go home and research and see what I can do. Because there's nothing I feel like I could almost do anything. She told me I couldn't have a six-pack. Boom, got a six-pack. She told
Show
me
him that.
What I
You
do?
need a 3D one. That's
Right.
a two.
I wish.
Oh.
It's a real one.
Oh.
And then what I do, I watch YouTube videos, build drones, all that stuff very easy. So I research stuff and I can figure most stuff I can figure it out. Especially if it's cosmetic, I'll just figure it out. I'll research it until I find it and try it on my legs first. Yes, ma'am.
Since, you know, most of our, at least my concern, because I've already gone down infection lane, is obviously the safetiness of that. After you go through all that work to have your reconstruction and then to have a tattoo, I know a lot of the bacterias can come through on tattooing. So how do you handle all that to keep us safe?
That's just being clean. Everything I use is always brand new. The area is always really clean. The room's wiped down with Cavicide, so it stays fairly clean, and like the machines are covered with bags. The ink is always completely segregated from the original bottles. Like when you go and pour the ink out for the client, it's separated from the bottle. Like it is all on its own, and once you're done with it, it's trash. And the parts that are being used are trash. So you wipe down your machines with Cavicide when you're done, you put everything back the way it was, and that's as clean as you can really do it. I mean, and the guy that trained me, oh my gosh, he's still a problem. He's like, I don't know what he thinks he's like super doctor, and he's just a tattoo artist. That's how he is. You walk in his shop and you feel like you're in a university hospital. You're like, that's what.
Does your technique differ from, say, what the micro tattooing is?
It's just typically the machines, needles, and the way it's applied. Machines and needles are a big deal. The machine that I would use, one of them that I use for really soft shades is a real full tattoo machine that makes a lot of noise. But it's got the best tattoo machine maker in the whole United States. He makes it. He makes the best ones. You want the smoothest color, the smoothest blend, he makes it like that. And all you have to do is balance that with awesome needles, and then the power that supplies this machine needs to be amazing. Because if you have a cheap power running it, the machine won't run right. If you have cheap needles, it doesn't work right. You have to have all the things together to make it. And the pigment's a big deal too. All of it matters. And once you get all those put in a row, you can make good things happen. That's one of the biggest differences.
PRMA does micropigmentation.
Yes.
Right.
It depends on your insurance.
And so it's mostly covered by insurance.
Yeah, you can get it covered here.
Do you use different, are you familiar with his makes and machines, and do you know what the difference is between the two?
I don't live in nursing home.
I'm not sure what he uses, but from what I'm told, we use permanent cosmetic ink. We use a needle that has like 5, it's kind of an angle, and has 5 little needles. So we always have to have our little pen and angle. You plug it in, so you just feel like vibration, you numb you just like he does. We use like a topical lidocaine cream. We leave it on for like 10 minutes. And then most patients are numb. If you're still in pain, we'll numb you longer. So same thing, you won't be in pain. We have various colors, so we have to mix a few colors we can. But I will be honest, our results, it's not as good. He's an artist.
I was curious. I wanted to hear what I use. I told them I'll come show you what I use, and it's all knowledge. And once you learn the techniques make it easier. The biggest difference in most people when I see any cosmetic tattoo artist work is they tattoo with a whole different technique that doesn't allow for precision, which is weird to say, but pretty much these needles that she's describing, I got 70 different ones, and I use them for all different things. And the knowledge of which one works for what is a big deal. Cosmetic ink is extremely thick already. They don't sell not one needle designed for thick ink at any cosmetic stores. I was like, how do they do cosmetic tattooing with the wrong needles? Every supply store I looked at, even where I get my pigments from. I get them from PRMA Pigments. They have one of the best pigments lines you can really get for Areola stuff. So I use theirs, but when I go into their site to buy their supplies, they don't sell the stuff I need. not even machine-wise, none of it I can use. So I had that big problem when I took their classes. I was like, y'all took $7,000 off me and didn't teach me really nothing. So I came home and adjusted everything based on what I knew. And using the right needles with the right machines is where it really changed everything. It was like, we did her lips first time when I got home, they're like a bus hitter. We do them now, if we do them, you can't even tell.
It took
It's
3
just-
weeks to heal.
Oh.
And
With
now
their
it's like
technique.
4 days. If we ever touch her up, it's like 4 days and go.
How
I think-
common is it for ladies to do like a piece of art rather than the areola
Art
regular?
takes, it depends. Art can go less or more.
But how common, do you see very many people who choose to do that?
Not as much.
Not very much.
More
It's fun
areolas
now.
than art.
Pardon?
I said it's fun now. I
But
see lots
you
of
can.
pictures. It's beautiful.
It's irrevocable though,
There's
right?
some really cool ones. Do you also work with drawings that someone will bring in?
Yes.
If they're an
Oh,
artist?
yeah. If you bring something and you want a specific thing, or if you want me to twist on it, I always coordinate back and forth however we can get the job done to make you happy, because it's not about me, it's y'all, whatever would make y'all happy. I wish I could just like flip my fingers and everybody would have what they wanted.
Has anybody ever had an allergic reaction?
Not one time. Not one time, not ever.
And do you use iodine or betadine?
No, I just clean the area with just alcohol,
Okay.
and that's pretty much
That's-
it.
With all of the chemo and the drugs and what have you, that I'm involved with, since before, a little bit before Christmas, my body is just coming up with these crazy, instant, never ever before allergic reactions. Like to iodine, backtracing, that kind of stuff. That's, yeah, that's what I was just asking.
No, I don't use that, but.
But that's
you know, if
strawberry
we
summer.
If we did do anything, we would just test it. That's the best way. If you had a reaction to something, we'd just stop and figure out what's.
Well, I've had allergy testing, but still, it's weird stuff.
Yeah.
Just-
I understand. I had like 10 surgeries, broke 30 bones, and now my pain threshold is nothing. Now I'm like, tell him, she's like, you're a girl. Oh, I can't take it, it hurts so bad. But they gave me all this nerve medication. I keep wondering, is that what caused it, or is it just the high trauma? I don't know what did it, but now I can't take pain. I'm sad. Oh boy, I'm supposed to be able to take pain. She does so much better than me, like 10 times better than me. Oh well, don't tell nobody.
So when we're picking colors, we get like a little cotton ball and try the color.
That's a good
Do
idea.
you do that as well?
Just like
or-
the same thing, but
So then
sticks.
you'd also be able to tell if they would have a reaction by doing that before you start.
Well, you would tattoo it in. A lot of times it's in the hair right here. And that way it's disguised, it's hidden, and if you react, you'll know because you'll get redness around it really bad.
Well, I've already had all kinds of other allergy testing, but it was just there for a little bit until I saw, see 2 different dermatologists before we were done, and it was just like crazy. I'm glad I was getting a CAT scan, and I ended up breaking out all over because of the contrast dye. And I've had before,
And all of a
another
sudden,
thing, but the one in April, yeah, just made me in trouble. Crazy,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's,
I don't know. I don't like going to the doctor. I'm like, the last time they made me go, I started crying. They go, you're gonna have surgery, Mr. Just lay down. I understand just because it's hard. She tried to take me. I went one time and I left, and then I went back, and then that's why I left, because I knew that's what they're gonna do to me, and they did.
So Kenny, did you say you do get consultations where you could get the color dabbed on and go
Yeah,
and see
totally.
how you react for your day? See
Yeah.
kind of how it
So what we would do for the consult, if you wanted, we would test the colors on you, whichever ones you preferred. We could tattoo in a discreet area like hairline, borders. It wouldn't show. It's not like you're gonna be at the pool. Hey, you have a dot right
No,
there.
I
Come here.
meant kind of like, could you do something that would be like a mock-up?
On the actual
That's just the
skin.
paint, yeah, before it's putting it into the skin.
Anything anybody requests, I'll do it.
Well,
Especially
that's
for
not part of your normal procedure.
No.
You just
No, and I wouldn't charge extra for it either. I would just do it to be accommodating, to do the right thing.
I know that lighting really backs out things, because we were just painting our house and everything
Yes.
was different light bulbs.
It does.
So what lighting, how do you, like, what's neutral lighting? Do you go in and run fluorescents or?
They are. They are. No, that's good. We took a photography class and learned all about lighting just recently.
Go outside, check it in the water.
Yeah, natural lighting looks great. No, never. It just, the fluorescent lighting, I haven't noticed anything that's caused any sort of problems that would make somebody unhappy, like, oh, this ain't the right color. So it's always kind of been fine. But in our new place, we're putting all fancy lights in there to make sure they're all neutral.
Where are you located?
Right now, we're off 281 in Evans Road, so we're a little bit out. There's a huge H-E-B shopping center. Yes, ma'am.
So your ink is organic, and you don't use a cosmetic ink. So what's the difference between?
It is cosmetic.
Okay, but it's organic cosmetic.
Yes, it is.
So then what's the difference between what normal or what other types of
It can contain
tattoo?
metals.
They use what? Is there a name for that type of ink?
Iron oxide.
So it's iron. Okay. So
Typically, that's what they put in it, and that's more of an older version of how they used to take the pigments, and that's just how they learn. Like, we're gonna mix the pigments with that, so they get these powders or these metals, and they mix them with the suspending agent, and that's what it makes. So it's literally not, it's not fully mixed, like you would touch it and you would feel it like what would, like anything, cake batter, how it's just mixed. This stuff is suspended in there, so it looks like it's all mixed up, but it's not. It's these little bubbles holding the powders in them. And so when you implant them, it automatically starts to oxidate, it starts to change colors. And those inks are just older and inferior, and if you don't research it, you just won't know it. And you'll buy it and think it's the same, and then people aren't happy.
So it may not last as long, and it may fade more.
And change funny colors.
Do the inks expire?
They do. Not once you're put in the skin. You know, that doesn't make much sense, right? It expires in the bottle, but it doesn't in the skin.
Back to the scarring. So after they have surgery, we wait at the minimum 3 months to do it. Do you have a certain timeline, or is it just whenever?
I go by eye. If the color looks rich in color, like it's too dark, I don't try to
Just
touch
by the
it.
characteristic of how that specific person.
Once it starts to look natural again, that's when. Because everybody's skin's so different, if you weigh the exact same amount, it might not be the same for her. Because if it looks pink or purpley, you don't touch it. You gotta wait till it starts like getting closer to the other color of your natural skin. Then, when you work on it, you know you won't have any problems. You can tell right away if somebody's skin's not ready to take anything, it just doesn't accept ink. It kind of looks like it shreds the skin. Like as soon as you go to work on it, it kind of like shreds. And if you see it, you just know, hey, you're not ready. You just tell them how it is. Hey, you're not ready, but I'm not gonna just mess you up. Let's set your appointment further out, see how this heals, and come back. We'll check it out, and then we'll go from there. And that's the safest way to give the client the best results. Because I don't know, it depends. And I learned it from myself. I have scars all over from this wreck I did, working on these bones. So I would see that I had multiple surgeries, and these surgeries, the scars are white, and these are pink. And so I saw myself like, these aren't ready. I couldn't do anything with them just by noticing them on myself. And that's kind of how I learned. I learned hands-on, and so I applied it to all this stuff I do. And when we took our photography class, this one was like, you're smart. No, I'm not. You learned all this stuff so easy. I would even let our teacher write questions. He'd start the first thing, and I'd answer, and he'd be all mad at me. But that's how I ended up figuring it out, because I lay down at night, get my phone, get Google on, and I just watch YouTube videos, and then that's kind of how it works. I mean, because all the information's out there.
The stuff you're interested in.
Yeah.
Too, so you're gonna.
And even if one isn't 100% accurate, you get all of them together and you just make your best assumption. I tried it on myself, and then I know. So I even have like eyeliner colors I need. Weird. I know, I'm terrible tattoos.
You can't do what you
I did her arm. She has her arm done by me and her face. Face and arm.
How far out are you usually booked?
It's not too bad for me, and plus for anybody like y'all, I come in at any time.
Really?
There's not like a set time. So if
But,
somebody
like-
needs a 9 o'clock appointment.
But you're not booked out like so many months or anything like that?
It can go weeks only for me.
Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, it's rare if it gets to a month and a month and a half. Most times it's weeks only, but a lot of times you can get in that week, especially for people like y'all, because I will do it anytime. Any time, doesn't matter, just for, because I know what it's like. Just by seeing family members and seeing what it feels like. It's better to get the best treatment possible than just get mediocre treatment, so that's what we try to do. We even have, I know it's small, but we bring these cool gift bags. We had our daughter make clothes, and we brought all this cool stuff, and we fill them up and give them to y'all to take home. You're done! That's just a small bonus.
Another question. You said you have the tattooed area just out to breathe. We normally put like a
Cover, right?
Vaseline on it. Is that real bad?
That should we not do that?
This is what they said. So the last
We
tattoo
get great
convention.
results sometimes. It's like I feel it's fitness. So we, you want consistency.
We did the last tattoo convention we sat next to the guy that was there for a manufacturing company that solely manufactures tattoo aftercare products. So all their money is invested in how do we make better products so we can sell them to people and get good results. What he used was a similar product, but it would go on and kind of be similar to Vaseline. The difference is Vaseline's very thick. You touch it, it's very thick. This stuff, it looks like Vaseline. It kind of looks like A&D is what it looks. I mean, no, Aquaphor. It looks like Aquaphor. It's clear, but once you touch it, it melts. So it still allows the skin to breathe. And for tattooing, a lot of times breathing is it's a better heal if it's fast. If the tattoo's done and it's more, and you can tell it's going to scab more, you would probably want to cover it. I know a secret for healing thick tattoos fast. And it's a burn cream. Obviously, I learned it from burning myself on motorcycles, but it's Silvadine cream at 1%. It heals. If you ever get a tattoo and it's rough and it's a hard heal, cover it. It'll melt the scab off and it'll heal you twice as fast.
What's that called?
Silvadine cream. They call it silver solution, and that's really just it wouldn't apply to most people, but if you get a thick nasty scab and it's like, say it's on a joint and it's like constantly hurting you because you bend and your palm's a perfect example, constantly moving, that causes all the pain. You put that bandage on it with Silvadine cream, you change it like twice a day, wash it and reapply it, it'll heal that thing so fast and it'll soothe that crunchy burning pain completely out. You gotta burn yourself to figure it out. 29 motorcycle wrecks. That scars all over from that.
And you still ride?
Of course.